Hey guys, Vince Bolito here, and I'm a transformational coach, trainer, and speaker. And in this video, I'm going to talk to you and teach you how to rewrite the past in order to redesign the future. Now, a key component of transformation, which is one of my greatest passions in life, is to work with people and help them transform their lives, is to understand what was going on in our past. What did we record, and how to get connected to that again and literally transform that. And by transforming our past, we actually also transform the future available to us, because the past dictates our present time experience, the kind of relationships we have, how we interpret our experiences in the present moment, and that also then determines our future. So our past actually is projected forward into the future, and that we're expecting things from the past to show up again. And so in a way, we tend to see them, even if that's not necessarily what's in front of us or what's really happening, because it's been in our brains and because it's not processed in such a way that we've rewritten it, right, or recoded it or learned something from it, but it was recorded as a fixed, painful, hurtful, self-negating, self-deprecating moment where we just lost touch with ourselves, our power, there was helplessness, there was something there that just wounded us, and we didn't quite ever overcome that or rewrite that in a way that was empowering. In other words, the story that we have, which isn't just intellectual, but it's emotional, it's physiological even. It gets all the way into our body. This story is written into our physical self and emotional self, not just our mental self. And when we don't access all those regions, we actually don't change the full story. So some of us may understand our past, we might try to change, the way we think about it, but just thinking about it's not going to make the difference. We got to change how we feel inside of those events. We got to change how our body is experiencing those events. And that's something that very few people I've found actually know how to do. There's a lot of people talking about how to change your thoughts because it's easy to talk about that area. That's the easiest, lightest realm to work in. But what's difficult for most people is to access, feel, and connect with the emotions and that which is going on within the body. Now, as a coach who's interested in helping people transform their lives and accelerate performance in every area so that they can achieve what it is that they want, have fulfillment inside of that, I spend a lot of time helping individuals complete the past and then rewrite the past. Because for many people, the past is not complete, it's not over. It's still living and it's active inside of them. There's an expectation that it's going to happen again. And we're going to get into a relationship that's going to hurt just like the last one. We're going to get into a job that's going to, be a problem just like the last one. Or we're going to have coworkers that were annoying just like the last one. We have these different ideas about how the future is actually going to be based on the past. And so our future is actually already written for us because of what's written in our past. And so in order to redesign the future that we're moving towards, we need to rewrite our history. So, like I said, I love this work. Now, for me personally, just so you know a little bit about my background and why this is such an important part of my work and my life, it's not just because I know it makes a difference for people, but it made a huge difference for me. Back in 1999, I nearly died from a drug overdose. I was living a life of crime. I was drug dealing. I was robbing people at gunpoint. I was doing all kinds of things to make money illegally at anybody's expense except my own. And but it eventually caught up to me. And it caught up to me in that I liked to party hard, and I hung out with people who did lots of drugs, and we stayed up for days straight, and we mixed everything, and we just got high until we couldn't get high anymore. And it finally caught up with my body. I found myself in the hospital questioning my life for the first time ever and who I was being and what I was doing in a serious way. I started to really say to myself that I need to change or I'm going to die. And I believed it and I knew it because of what I was experiencing and what just happened to me. And so I made a decision back then that I was going to turn my life around, and eventually made a promise that, hey, if my life can get turned around, if the universe will help me, God will help me, whatever will help me turn my life around, I promise I'll dedicate my life to helping other people. And that's pretty much what I've done since the year 2000. I had a profound turnaround. It happened relatively rapidly. It wasn't an easy transformation for me by any means to go from the life I had lived to the life that I started to create at that point, which was very different. And it required a lot of connecting to my past, although I didn't have the technical skill that I currently have. It was a very natural part of my my passion, my intention to turn my life around for me to have to face my past. And many things from my past did come up. There was abuse in my home with my mother to me, in different situations with certain individuals in my life, and different things that I had gone through that had hurt me, that had suppressed me at moments in time. And I just had never quite overcome that. And I found myself having to confront that stuff in my seeking to have a new life. And it was just coming up for me. It was coming up because it was not finished. It wasn't done. It wasn't processed psychologically, emotionally, or physiologically at all. My whole body was held into these conditions and these patterns of my history. And so as they came up, it was very uncomfortable, but I was fortunate to permit myself to have all of the discomfort and the feelings and everything that came up for me in that moment. And there was just a lot of grace and givingness. And so I was able to be with my past powerfully and experience a lot of freedom from that past by being with it, feeling it, surrendering and accepting that things were the way they were. So I was basically giving up resistance, emotional resistance and psychological resistance to key events, specific events in my life. And now a big part of the work that I do is I help people uncover what those key events are in their life and get in touch with them neurologically and biochemically, meaning we're looking for the specific thought patterns, the exact memories, the specific emotions and the bodily sensations that were happening in that moment. And we help people rewrite that past. We help people create, in order to rewrite the past, what I mean is, in the past, you have basically a few different things, okay? So here we have our past. Let me just put it up like this. In the past, and then we have, let's say the present is here. I don't want to go too far off. And so we just have like a timeline. Okay, there's our present, here's our past, and here's some intervals of time. So we have a few different things going on, you know. This is past to the present. We've got moments where we're happy, experiencing joyful things, positive moments. Sometimes they're really positive, sometimes they're slightly positive. You know, and we have these happy moments, a birthday, graduation, relationship, etc. And they have different degrees. So up and down would relate different degrees of joy or happiness or pleasure. But then we also have these painful moments. Some of them are severely painful, like way down there. And some of them are not so painful. And we just have a series of all these different, you know, events taking place. If we have a real tragic loss, maybe we have something big down there, a tragic loss or some kind of injury or something like that, or abuse or something in our lives. And so you have these green dots signify our pleasurable events and the things that bring us joy, and the good conclusions that we form, good meaning the constructive supporting conclusions we form about ourselves, others, and the world. And then we have these painful incidents and events where we form conclusions about ourselves, others, and the world that are self-negating, or we are against certain type of people, like all men are, you know, greedy pigs, or, you know, if you're a woman and like you've been, you know, mistreated by men or mishandled by men or something like that, or, you know, all bosses are scumbags or something like that because you had a really mean boss. And these certain conclusions can form, and then we start to project onto our present time whatever was happening in our past, pleasurable or negative or not pleasurable. And so what happens is we need to go in, and when we're doing this rewriting of the past, we need to actually get in touch with and bring completion to these aspects of ourselves. Now, there's many dimensions of rewriting the past. This is dealing with painful incidents. In this case, what we're going to do is search them out and get totally aligned with them. We're going to bring our conscious awareness, which is a free unit. It's a free unit, actually. It gets couched or trapped inside of particular modes of consciousness, right? Our awareness unit gets trapped in certain modes of consciousness, and we have these habitual places that we hang out, right? But our awareness unit can start to be exercised and can get fit, and we can start to move our awareness unit all over the place. We can move our awareness unit into the past. We can move our awareness unit into imagined or desired futures, and or we can move our awareness unit into present time experiences and become aware of various objects and conditions in our present time environment. All right, so I hope this isn't confusing you, but the awareness unit is what it is that we're working with. As a coach, as a trainer who helps people train and condition themselves, and coach people into really rewriting their past and also designing their future. I do it completely. Now, some people working with things like the law of attraction and other methods will have you like focus on a future, or Think and Grow Rich, maybe something you've read, and you want to like think and plan and get all these ideas. But what happens is most of us don't realize that this stuff in the past is like baggage. It's holding us down. We're still attached. We have a grip on it and we're holding on to it and we don't want to let it go. We can't let it go. Even if we want to consciously, subconsciously, we're holding it so powerfully and so intensely that it's holding us back. And so what we need to do is we need to go in, get in touch with this stuff, welcome all these things in, and face them and feel them so we can embrace them and heal them. Face and feel so we can embrace and heal. So we want to face. It's a P. Want to face the past, or the pain. Want to feel the sensations in the body. We want to embrace all of the above, and then we can heal, which means to integrate what we've resisted. So you may have heard of the term emotional resistance. We want to embrace all of those. So we want to face the past and the pain. We want to feel the sensations in the body. We want to embrace or welcome. And I'll add that in. Embrace also means to welcome. Welcome or own all of that. Why? Because what's really going on is in our psyche, it's like right? So if this is right, that's us. We have a personality. It's like we're looking forward, but back inside of our mind, we've got all this stuff, that these pain points. We're not trying to face any of that or be with any of that. We're not trying to deal with any of that. And so we have rejected that. And what that does is it creates like a, that'll work. It creates a divide. So it's almost like we have a split, right? We're okay. We want to focus on the stuff that we like, the positive things here, but we don't want to deal with any of this stuff in the back. So we basically have divided from, I'll say we have a divided self, right? There's, shame, guilt, fear, pain, loss, grief, right? There's all these different emotions, feelings, sensations, memories. We don't want to deal with it. There's conclusions in there, but we shut those out. Our anger, should put that in there. There's also anger. Maybe there's rage. Don't forget some lust. Always got some lust back in there. So we all have these experiences in our lives, but we're trained and we're taught that a lot of this is not acceptable. Can't have rage, can't be raging out and all that. Anger is dangerous and destructive. Grief, people don't know how to be with that. They don't want to be around as heavy emotion. Shame, lust, guilt, fear, pain, and loss. These are things that they don't feel good. And so societally speaking, most of our social structures and groups do not really permit us to have this. We're learning at a very early age, even from our parents, unfortunately, that many of these things are not healthy or are not, not something that are allowed. But here's the reality. They're a part of our human experience. So when we have this experience and maybe we feel a little bit of lust, what tends to happen is, we get shamed for that. Maybe we're feeling desire for a woman and we're told, no, you can't have that, as a little boy, and you shouldn't feel that way. That's not, you're too young, you shouldn't, whatever. And, or you shouldn't, talk about sexual things. And, so we get shamed for having desires. And then what happens is lust is something that's like born out of it's like that urge, that sexual drive, the sexual urge that's there. It's natural. It's built into our human nature. And because it's looking for expression, but it's been suppressed, it might squeeze out and like a volcano erupt into what we call lust. And it becomes this certain, expression of the sexual urge or drive that now has negative consequences on ourselves or maybe those that we're being lustful towards. But lust is something, and what's ironic is, yes, lust can be damaging and destructive. I'm not saying that isn't so, but what doesn't work is suppressing any of this stuff, because when you suppress it, when you deny it, when you don't allow it, you can't actually transform it. And remember, a transformational coach and trainer, not just a speaker, but I'm speaking here now, but I actually coach and I train people on how to be with every one of these emotions or these sensations or these movements of energy in their body, this emotional movement, and stop resisting what's there and starting to welcome and accept all of this part of themselves that's all connected in that separated aspect of our consciousness, so we can start to make peace with the repression and undo or unhook the repression. So what we do is we start to remove those forces that seem to be controlling us against our will. But the reason they exist is because we've suppressed pain, we've suppressed loss and fear and guilt and lust and shame, and we haven't dealt with it properly. It's not been welcomed. And so the emotion and the movement of energy that wants to come through the body with these experiences is not completed. Then there's this stored charge or series of charges that will find their way out in different ways. And they find their way out in terms of, destroying our relationships. We overreact, we underreact, we are attached to people, or we are pushing people away, we're avoiding them. There's all this stuff happening as a result of this suppressed stuff that's based in our past. So if we want to redesign the future, we got to rewrite the past. And so what I mean by rewriting the past specifically is we got to deal with this whole quadrant of our consciousness. Deal with it. And the problem is, it's difficult to deal with this stuff because most people don't want to deal with it. They're pushing it out of themselves. They don't want other people to display it around them. They have a lot of negative meaning about it. So that makes it impossible to work with. That whole chunk of stuff back there, it's just something people want to just hide and just keep, don't want anybody to know that exists. But what we got to do is we got to start opening up to that and start being aware of that and realize how powerful we really are. We can be with all of this emotion, this pain, this fear, this loss. We can face all of it. We can feel all of it, and it actually doesn't hurt us. In the ultimate, exchange here, there's a gift that's given when we feel it. We gain a power back. We're able to embrace our rage, our anger, our grief, our shame, our guilt, our lust. We can embrace that, and now we own it. When we don't own it, when we push it away, it has power over us. But when we own it, when we embrace it, we welcome it in, we take ownership of it again. It's ours, it's mine. I have this inside of me, and I make it okay. It's okay to love myself for having this experience. Then we can heal it, we can integrate it, and it just basically transforms all of it. It gets to split the dividing wall of hostility that's in our consciousness is dissolved. And what ends up happening is we have a whole, complete self. And we actually turn all those red dots into, they still are emotions like grief and there's lust and fear and all that still there. But because we can own it and we can be with it consciously, it doesn't have control over us, and it actually becomes a positive life learning opportunity, something that's useful. Some part of our humanness has now expanded, and we're able to be with other people in a more powerful way. So our negatives actually become positive. They still have their negative qualities, so to speak. Pain is pain, fear is fear, lust is lust, and all of that. But we're not owned by any of it. We can actually use it instead of it using us. And there's a heck of a lot of freedom. So this is a little bit about how to rewrite the past to redesign the future. This isn't exactly the what to do part of it, but these are some of the principles. This is some of what there is to know about it. The practices in themselves are many. I have many different ways of getting at it. If you want to learn more, click some of the links below. You can find out how to do that with me, with my team, with a great group of people. This is not something that we get to do alone, by the way. This is something we got to do with a group of people, ideally. It's so much more effective and efficient and accelerated when we're working with a group of people, and we can deal with all these emotions with a team, many different others, because it rewrites and re-encodes our nervous system with feelings of acceptance from human beings. Because when other human beings can witness all of this with you, and you suddenly see like, wow, I'm not going to be rejected. People are going to actually love me more for opening up this space for them. To them, it starts to train our mind and our whole nervous system that it's safe. It's safe to have this stuff. And that's what we need. We need that feeling of safety inside. That's how we rewrite the past so that we can redesign the future. And when we feel safe with all this stuff we've been suppressing and repressing inside of our system, when we finally feel safe with it, then we're not fighting and clawing our way through life to try and avoid all that. Most of our decisions in life are based on trying to avoid feeling any of this stuff. And so we're not free to choose powerfully. We're in a reaction to history every day of our lives, and our whole future is being determined by our past. And so we can't create a future. We actually are living into a default future produced by the encounters we've had in the past that are incomplete and not processed and not enjoyed. Right? They're not enjoyed. Well, it's possible to enjoy the most painful things that you've had happen to you. I know I've worked with thousands and thousands of people in the last 20 years, and I've seen miracle upon miracle upon miracle. When I say miracle, it's like something that shouldn't happen. It just makes no sense at all that some person who was, molested by their father at 5 years old could within, 5 to 10 minutes start to experience bodily sensations and feelings and emotions inside of the memory even of pleasure, joy, laughter, understanding, compassion, and forgiveness for her abuser. How does that happen? It happens by doing the work that I'm talking about, this transformational work. So for coaching and training on how to do this, you can check out any of the links that are in the description of this video. Either below if we're on YouTube or in Facebook in the description, and just take a look, see what's possible for you. We have many ways that you can do work, and we'll look forward to having you connect with me, my team, my people, and getting yourself empowered. All right, so if you like this video and you want to learn more about this content and transformational coaching and training, just subscribe to my channel on YouTube. If you're not on YouTube, you can go to YouTube and find me, just search for Vince Polito, and just subscribe. Check this out. We're gonna have tons of good content coming out, so you can experience this on a regular basis, get more understanding, and start to own everything inside of you that you haven't been able to own, bringing healing and wholeness to yourself. All right. I love and appreciate you. Thanks for watching. We'll talk soon.